Hello and welcome. Today's video will be going over the second raid boss, strategies to defeat that boss, as well as an easy cheese strat that makes him basically killable with almost any party make. Before I get started on that, I'd like to go over a few quick tips. First one being speed, the speed stat on a weapon. The speed stat applies to attack speed and cast speed. So if you have a really slow weapon speed, you'll also have a really slow casting speed. I'd like to also mention skill stat requirements. If you look at any of the skills in the game, you'll notice that they can, at level 1, they all share the same stats depending on what type of thing it is. You see, this is depending if they're hybrid skills that require multiple stats or they're just non-hybrid skill. Their stats are the same. So every skill starts at level 1 and has a strength requirement of 5. That's all your active skills, not your support skills, not your defensive skills, not your movement skills. They all have different stats, but any skill that is an attack that is not a hybrid, so earth blow, field strike, fissure, all of your base requirement stats. This is the highest requirement for a level 1 skill, and the max requirement for these skills is 212. Once you reach 212 dexterity, strength, or intelligence, you'll be able to use a level 30 version of any skill in the game. These skills that have 5 requirements, they are the ones that when they hit level 30 have the highest stat requirement. So as long as you meet 212, you can use any skill in the game at level 30 for that type. Doesn't matter what it is, you'll be able to use it. Now, when going into the second raid boss is ice damage. And you will see on this fight, nobody knows what they're doing. 9 times out of 10, they do not know the mechanics or they just refuse to do the mechanics. But I'll go over the mechanics anyway. The first stage, for every stage, he will freeze one player who is the furthest away from him. Furthest player away from the boss, he will choose to freeze and do a one-shot combo. The first stage, he freezes the furthest player, and then he shoots a ice ball on the ground towards that player. Any other player can just walk in between the boss and that player that's frozen and block the ball. It doesn't do nearly that much damage if your ice resistance is capped. I've never seen that ability one-shot someone unless it was the frozen person, so it's not that dangerous. After the first stage, he becomes invulnerable and links to these 4 pillars in the corner, these totems or whatever you want to call them, over here. You have to go one by one, you have to destroy all of them. While that's going on, he will be following one player, and he's immune to damage. That one player just needs to kite him away from all the other players. During the second phase, after you defeat the 4 pillars, he will, once again, he'll freeze a player who is the furthest away from him. And what you're supposed to do is 3 to 4 other players that are not frozen need to stack on top of the frozen person. Once again, no one does this, so the frozen person is most likely going to die. But that is what you're supposed to do. Towards the end of the fight, or at least after a certain amount of time during the second phase, he will start doing this attack right here where he makes like a blizzard. In order to survive the blizzard, there will be a yellow orb that is following one player. The problem with this is that only that one player can activate the orb, and the orb will spawn a shield that if everyone is inside the shield, they will survive the blizzard. But once again, players refuse to listen to the mechanics. Even if you tell them what to do, they won't do it. And that's the most difficult part of this fight, is getting someone, the orb following a person who knows what it's doing, who knows what they're doing. The game seems to know who doesn't know what they're doing, and that's always who the yellow orb follows. You get screwed. But sometimes you get someone who knows to stand in it, or they stand in it anyway. One thing to note is if you stand in it too early, then you will, the orb will activate, the shield only lasts for a certain amount of time, and it'll go away before the blizzard is done, and you'll die. And then the other side is also true. You activate it too late, you die. But once you do all those mechanics, then that's all the mechanics. You just have to DPS them. The easy strategy that I will be doing for this fight is, like I was telling you, he's going to freeze the person who is furthest away. So if you have freeze immunity, whether it be from this elixir, whether it be from a unique, I know there's a unique belt gives you freeze immunity. There might be a few other sources of freeze immunity. You can get 100% chance to dodge freeze on your gear. Freeze dodge chance. If you get 100% of that from multiple pieces of gear, that's another way. Or if there's a way to reduce the duration of the freeze, then that's another way, because the attack takes a while to come down to kill you. We get a match anytime soon. Like I said, the cheese strategy, which is what I will be doing, will be, I'm going to stay the furthest away from the boss. That way the freeze always targets me and no one else. In doing so, none of my teammates will die from the freeze combo because of nobody doing the mechanics. If nobody gets frozen, nobody needs to do the mechanics. It negates that part of it negates the biggest problem of this fight. Guess nobody's doing raid right now. Kind of annoying. Here we go. Once you get in, you have your usual starting room with your shopkeeper that you can buy elixirs. Starting room, you can turn on your buffs and everything. Then you head in. Just open your map so you can see where the boss is, and then I just stay the furthest away from him. If you have a skill, if you're an archer, it's better because they have the longer range skill, so I can just off screen, but my skill's not long enough to do that. Here are the pillars I was talking about. Maybe that person's trying to do my strategy. I don't know. Eventually, he'll freeze me, and then I'll use my freeze immunity potion. This is another part. He applies this frost bomb on you, and it'll put it. After a while, it'll drop this AoE on the ground that does damage if you stand in it. Apparently, some people are already dying somehow. As you can see, he's following one player, and that player is leading him towards all the other players for some reason. This will begin the second phase. Second phase is the most dangerous phase. It's where when the person gets frozen, you have to stack on top of that player to spread out the damage. No one does that mechanic, so I choose to do this strategy. As you can see, he's freezing me, become unfrozen, and it would drop this meteor on you. And that's what multiple people have to stack on top of the frozen person to soak the damage and spread the damage out, survive it. Otherwise, it's a one shot, and that's how it goes. The only problem with my strategy is the blizzard attack. Unless you're in a party with someone, or maybe you can convince the rest of the players to tell you when the yellow orb is spawned. That's the only problem with this strategy that doesn't really work. Just note that even though I wasn't frozen, the comet is still going to try to fall on where I'm standing, so you do need to move. You need to try to avoid it. Make sure you don't drop it on like another teammate or something. See the player? He's running away from the orb. I don't understand why no one can learn these mechanics, but they cannot. Maybe this level 82 can finish the fight. Maybe they have freeze immunity. No, they don't have freeze immunity, so he's most likely dead. He wasn't well, once he does the freeze combo, he'll most likely be dead. There's the freeze combo. Here comes the meteor. Oh, this guy actually survived. Maybe he dodged it. I don't know. It'll be the first time my cheese strategy did not work. If it doesn't, that's only due to the fact that I always got lucky with the yellow orb choosing a better person than someone who runs from it. You see, here's the yellow orb, and it's following this player. And once you stand in it, it'll activate that barrier. That will keep you safe from the raid, from the blizzard. Just wrap things up, I'll open the chest. I got unlucky and I got the blue one instead of the rare one. As you see, they're level 50 now. I think these are all the same as it was the first time. Just choose area of effect again. And if you have any questions or comments about the strategy or the fight itself, you can leave a comment down below. And if you could leave a like, subscribe, that'd be super helpful. Thanks for watching.